The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise began in 1984 and the first movie is still considered a classic 30 plus years later. Looking back at it, it is impossible to envision just how entwined this series and the character of Freddy Krueger will become in popular culture. The first movie is remembered fondly, the many sequels not so much. Ask any Nightmare on Elm Street fan which movie other than the first is the best and most will answer back with the third. The rest don't exactly get much love. Are they all terrible though? Sure, Freddy became a caricature spouting one-liners to such a degree it became laughable, but there are moments that can be enjoyed, in particular the many and varying deaths. The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is made up of 7 original films, 1 crossover with Jason Voorhees, a TV series and a remake. It began in 1984 and ended in 2010. This ranking is for the 7 original Nightmare movies and the remake. Freddy has left Springwood, a childless place, and desperate to get more kills under his belt, sends the last surviving teen to bring others back with him. One person who does end up coming back to Springwood is his now grown-up daughter. A daughter who has the power to kill him once and for all. Freddy's Dead gets a lot wrong, and takes the series so far from horror, it is embarrassing at times. It constantly tries to play around with comedy elements, but won't raise the slightest chuckle as it just isn't funny. The few deaths we do get are the worst of the bunch, with the computer game and Nintendo Power Glove cringeworthy watching.
Jump boy!
Oh shit, Spencer! Come on, John! Get out of here now, please! Now!
Hey! You forgot the Power Glove!
No!
Ow! Boing! Boing, 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 boing!
Be like me, be like me, be like me, be like me, be like me. Spencer!
What do you know? I beat my high score.
Unsurprisingly, this is the worst Nightmare movie of the bunch, that deviates so far from the original idea that it's all too easy to dismiss it as nothing more than a cash grab. I mean, for goodness sake, it has cameos from Tom Arnold and Roseanne. A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 is not the worst remake or reimagining you'll ever see, what high praise. But it will leave you frustrated by its laziness and the lack of anything fresh being brought to the series. The good is overshadowed by the bad. It has to be noted that there are many excellently done visual effects though, such as the classroom scene.
Improvised, and they would not hesitate to slaughter every Athenian they saw, even children, especially the children of soldiers. This is where the
Wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
You really shouldn't fall asleep in class.
Sadly, far too many scenes rehash the more memorable moments from the original, but using CGI. These do not enhance the film in any way and actually make it feel even more dated. For example, in the original, Freddy appears to move in the wall above Nancy's bed while she sleeps and it looks amazing. Here, it's CGI. The Dream Child is set a year after the events of the last movie and is a continuation of Nightmare 4 with Alice being the main star, but she doesn't seem to have learned anything from dealing with Freddy before. Her warnings to her friends are half-assed and she could have dropped a little more knowledge on them. This time around, Freddy uses her unborn child's dreams to attack her and a new set of friends. The major problem is that Freddy just isn't that smart. His one-liners are cringeworthy and he does things that feel out of place even for him, such as skateboarding. Add that to worse makeup and a horrible comic book style death that just drags on, and you're not left with a whole lot.
Faster than a bastard maniac. More powerful than a local madman. Yes. Super Freddy! Told ya! Comic books was bad for ya!
It's still not a bad horror film though. It lacks a lot of what made the other Night movies so compelling, but still has an inventive death or two. Initially using the surviving characters from Part 3, it's not long before Freddy is back once again. This time round he manages to finish them off, forcing the movie to look elsewhere for a heroine. Alice steps up as the star of the movie, now alongside Freddy, who continues killing in inventive ways, while Alice sets about collecting her dead friends' dream abilities like their Pokemon cards. Freddy getting top billing in a cast list should be a sign of just who is now the real star of these movies, and no one can hold a candle to him throughout. The wisecracking murderer is on fine form here, and the variety in deaths are just amazing. Seriously, the effects on the show are better than I've ever seen, with the cockroach scene standing out and living long in their memory. Not for the squeamish though.
You can check in, but you can't check out.
The acting is good, the gore is good, the effects are amazing, but the story is weak. This is a better Nightmare on Elm Street movie than you might first think it is. Worth seeing if just for some of the incredible death scenes. So much for Freddy being dead, eh? The 7th movie in the franchise doesn't follow the continuity of the previous movies, but isn't a reboot either. Wes Craven's New Nightmare has the cast and crew of the original playing themselves. Freddy Krueger is a worldwide phenomenon that both kids and adults alike love. It's all just a movie, or so it seems. There is an entity, one that has been drawn to the character Freddy Krueger and trapped within it until the movies stop being made. Now it is free and sees Heather Langenkamp, Nancy, as its foe because of what she did in the movies. This Freddy Krueger is very different from what fans are used to. He is pure evil. No snappy lines, no jokes, no entertainment. He is here to kill. It is an amazing transformation and one that you can get fully behind. It's not just in the Krueger attitude but the look as well. Freddy has a much more modern look and his claw resembles bone and muscle. This is how Wes Craven wanted him to look, and the love is clear to see. There is a lot to praise story-wise, even if the movie can be boring at times. Tension is high, and it is fascinating to be reminded of just how much influence Freddy Krueger had on children.
Miss me?
Wait, what? Who does he want revenge on? None of the original cast, as they're not in this movie. Jesse can't stop dreaming about Freddy Krueger, and it's beginning to affect his daily life. He is withdrawn and unhappy, not helped by his father and sadistic school coach. Turns out that Jesse is living in what was Nancy's house, and Freddy wants to be reborn through Jesse. He wants Jesse to be his human vessel. He wants Jesse to kill for him. You see, through Jesse's terror, he can grow stronger and eventually be reborn. It's all a bit strange, but made all the more strange when a homosexual subtext is pointed out. By now, most Nightmare on Elm Street 2 fans are aware of the many references that are littered throughout the movie. Some aren't even that subtle, such as the encounter with Coach Snyder in the gay S&M leather bar. None of this matters though, and it actually makes a lot more scenes make a lot more sense. It's a good Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and a good horror movie as well. It has some solid acting, some really good visual effects, and decent gore. It loses its way near the end, but has a nice final scene to keep the series ticking over. The third Nightmare on Elm Street movie marks the turning point of the franchise. This is where the deaths started to become more imaginative and Freddy starts to become more comical. A direct sequel to the original, it sees Krueger attacking a group of teens who are locked up in a psychiatric hospital. No one believes them, obviously. That is until a new employee turns up. Nancy, played once again by Heather Langenkamp. She will have to face up against Freddy one more time, but this time she'll have help.
In my dreams, I'm beautiful. And bad.
I am the Wizard Master!
Each character is likeable and the interactions are believable. It's a thrilling story mixed with genuinely good effects and gore. There are so many good ideas here, and to see Freddy theme his attacks around the cast's dreams and fears makes them so much more threatening. The ending will surprise too, but leave you satisfied. In fact, this could have easily wrapped up the story comfortably, but a final, lingering scene makes sure you know that Freddy isn't quite dead just yet. The best Nightmare on Elm Street movie since the original. Speaking of, well, it had to be, didn't it? The original, and still the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie to date.
Please, God.
This is God.
It introduced a legion of horror movie fans to one of the most iconic characters to ever grace the screen. Freddy Krueger was in your dreams, and there was nothing you could do about it. Nancy and her friends are powerless to stop him, and her parents don't believe the tales of the dream killer. That is until Nancy discovers the town knows more about Krueger than she could ever have imagined. A horror movie that stands the test of time, still as unsettling as it was the first time you saw it. Freddy Krueger is an icon, but often it's forgotten why. This movie will remind you. Top acting, top visuals, top scares, and a top start to a franchise.
Seven, eight, gonna say